That's an emergency signal.
Good morning. This is Joseph Cobbs again. I think we're on our 7th week of the teaching program, and we're doing module 8, unit 6, and we're trying to show real-world applications. And I'm here disturbing Mr. Rick again on an early Sunday morning. We were at the fun fair yesterday raising money for the poor with our school. So we had a long day in the sun. It was over 100 degrees. But anyways, this is our critique of my video, and we just got done watching the video, and Mr. Rick is going to talk about some of the different applications that I did in the video to try to tie in real-world learning and a little bit about technology and other different applications like using the skeleton. So here's Mr. Rick talking about the video we just watched.
Okay, yeah, it's hot out. And that brought up cramps, muscle cramps, which you talked about.
Yes.
And which you're actually experiencing at the moment.
Yes.
From yesterday's,
Yep.
We had a fun fest for, we were out in the sun for, 6-7 hours.
Pretty warm here in Burma.
It was hot. Yep. No clouds. It's the dry season. So, we just taking some electrolytes just now to cut down on the cramps. That's one form of it. And then we had another little packet of powdered
Second form.
Which of course brought up the idea what causes cramps, muscle cramps, and some of these basic questions that people have from the real world when they have an injury or a muscle injury, or pull a muscle, or all the things. Injuries is usually one of the things that gets most people's attention when muscles don't work, or how to make muscles bigger, of course, so things like that.
So in the first part of the video, I talked about plantar fasciitis.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the applications where I brought it to a higher level of Bloom's taxonomy, bringing it to a higher level learning, not just talking about the muscles and the fascia, but what actually happens in a sport injury related to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, some people are going to pick that up, and that's great for the higher level students. And there's always those that just, that's just too much for them, too fast coming at them. And but it's a higher application, and I don't know how much time you could slow down and spend on it. If they get it, they pick it up. Great, but they have the opportunity to ask questions, and so you did a lot of things there. You had the skeleton, so we showed where the various knobs and such on bones allow muscle
attach it for the origin insertion. Yeah,
and then talk about origin insertion. You showed animation related to the origin insertion, and then there was the animations on the actin and myosin, so you got right down.
Yeah, so Mr. Rick came up with some really great videos that computer animation that show the muscles contracting, the sarcomere, and we've been showing those, stopping the video, showing the video, stopping the video, maybe showing the video 4 times in a row. It's only like a 2-minute video, and the kids had a real hard time with learning of how a sarcomere unit works, a motor neuron unit works, and how the muscles contract. So that was a challenge. I don't know, maybe not for you because you're so experienced, but for me, to get that across to the kids, it was helpful not just to draw it on the board, but actually to show the computer animations on the. Yeah. And Mr. Rick's been really great at helping with the Google Drive, loading up all kinds of so many different videos and different real-world applications on it. So that's been really helpful.
Well, we work together, and we find
Google Drive.
We find things on the internet. There's so much there, and the animations I think really slowing them down, stopping them, and then talking about them. Very very helpful. And you had the PowerPoint on there, so you'd stop on that for a long period of time, so people had time to process. Anyone would have had enough time. You said you put those slides on there for quite a while. Individual slides while you were talking. So the structure of the muscle, and so it does take a lot of time to soak that in. the different levels of organization. It's at first it's overwhelming. But
Yeah, Theory, one of my top students, she's like, I just don't understand what's an actin myosin compared to a muscle, and I had to go through each individual slide, and it took us like 20 minutes, but then she finally got it, and she was explaining it to July next to her and the other students, and then, but it takes. You're right. I tend to go too fast, and this week I was working on slowing down a little bit, and I think that was helpful.
Yeah, I think you're recognizing that more, which is definitely a good quality to have. To recognize it and to act on it. You're always going to get your happy top students fairly quickly, but to pull in the rest of them is the challenge. But so pace. You seem to be, working on the pace better, and I suggest pausing. You don't always have to talk. You can just say something, and then just stop and wait. I do that.
And look at them and kind of see how they respond.
Is it? And then I'll meditate on that. How does that hit you? Just sort of wait and maybe ask a question, but pausing on occasion and giving them a chance to think about it. So sometimes they're so busy scrambling to write.
Yeah,
they don't know what not to write, what to write. So they try to write everything or nothing. Some students just give up. They just can't keep up the pace. They can't do two things at once. So you try to keep them both happy. The ones that are really not able to get it down on paper, they're sitting there trying to figure that out, process that. And so the more angles you can come at, just after you've said one thing about, pointed it out on an animation, and you can point, that connects to the PowerPoint here. And then remember we talked about this, that connects to how the bone and the origin and insertion connects to this skeleton here. This is here, there. So, interconnecting the visuals that you have going at the same time, and so all of that adds up to, I think, eventually
better understanding that.
They have more time to process it.
Well, I was asking them, what is a way that I could teach this so that you could get it quicker or understand it better? And they came up with, they want me to type it out in bullet points, like the muscle contraction, the whole thing with the actin and myosin. And they also wanted me to do that for, I can't remember, there was another one too. And I told them I would do that and give it to them next class.
Yeah, well, they could do it.
Yeah, they could do it by looking at, I told them watch a video and you could do it. But
you can have them do that in class.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's stop. Boom, what did we just hear? Write it, bullet point, okay? Play it again, continue it. Have them do it all at once. That way it's their words, and they're doing it, and it's that much more connection. So, yeah, you could do that for them.
Yeah,
but
yeah, you're probably right. I'm sure, I mean, you're right, because it's them pulling it from the video rather than me pulling it from the video. Yeah. So, in their own words, they're going to understand that much better than my words, of course. So that's a good point. I'll do that next class.
Nutrition and health, you're always talking about that. I mean, that's your forte anyway. So here's a big chance for you to spill out all that stuff. And again, some of them are going to pick up quickly, and other ones are just going to are not. But it's nice to give these applications. How does nutrition affect your muscles, and how do you take care of your muscles, and how do muscles heal? How do they recover from injuries? And then you get all the way down to electrolytes and calcium and things like that. And how is
When I was showing them the video on the neuromuscular junction, and it talks about how the neuron releases calcium. And when we were talking about that, then I talked about when I was playing in a tennis tournament, how I got cramps and what happened. Yeah. So I explained that whole physiology.
Calcium is happening in two places. Right?
Yeah.
Calcium's entering the neuron near the synapse, and it's also
to release the ACH.
It's also released within the muscle cell.
Yeah, so that the myosin. Yeah, so the myosin can let go.
Yeah, the tropomyosin is bound by the calcium. It releases, and then you can bind the myosin head to the actin, and you can do your shift. Yeah, but you're getting all that, and this is your forte, the human body. So, but you're breaking it down nicely, I think, and you get a lot of you get some activities for them to do. What kind of activities have they been doing on this?
Well, they did
Right
45.1 through 45.4. They did the homework,
worksheets,
and then they came up and presented it. That was what we call
right.
the instant expert at the end, where I had Eddie talking, and Henry talking, and Soulette talking, and they were teaching the class about that. So
yeah, and you're quick to correct them if they mislead.
Yeah, unfortunately, Eddie had prepared real well, and Henry and Soulette didn't, so they were saying a few things that were incorrect, and I would stop and say, no, really, it goes this way. And
yeah.
So, but it's good for them to get up and teach it. I think they learn by teaching the rest of the class. I think they learn, and I think the other students enjoy learning it from a student rather than just me too. I think that's a good point, a good aspect, anyways.
I think so. I think that's a really good idea. Let's see what else. Beyond the surface level.
Yeah.
Definitely, you're doing that. You're going into all kinds of different things. We talked about plantar fasciitis and knee joints and cramps and the sweating,
Oxygen
and the
debt.
heat, and
Yeah, oxygen debt. Yeah, we went
Yep.
into running. I have a whole scenario that I taught with that. So,
Yeah.
but we were over 11 minutes already, so that's probably enough unless you have something else to tie in.
I think we've pretty much said what I think you're right on with giving them many examples, real world examples.
Yeah, this unfortunately because of the time constraints with teaching everything. This was the first time I taught the lesson. The fourth time it was much better. So, anyways, you always get to see the first cuts and don't get to change it that much. So, anyways, have a good week. See you next week.
Okay.